So gold.
Okay, I'm going to tell you about the ISO 26000, and then you're going to ask me questions maybe, and you may not. Here's the here's the take on the ISO 26000. It is the result of 4 or 5 years of work of people all around the world looking at the highest level of questioning for corporations in order to deliver socially responsible activities of corporations. It started off, it was going to be a certification process. It ended up just being about intention. It's only about intention. They watered it down so that it's not a certification program, it's an intention program of being socially responsible from a triple bottom line point of view, which is, triple bottom line is about economics, it's about ethics and social justice, and it's about environment. That's what the ISO 26000 is about. Basically being socially responsible in those areas. What we are doing with the ISO 26000 is going beyond where they got to. Remember,
Who's they? Please highlight who they is.
Standards organizations all around the world coming
okay.
together over a 5-year period, coming out with the final standards of social responsibility. And we did it with an agreement with the United Nations through the United Nations Global Compact. We got the ISO group in Geneva to do an agreement with the United Nations that they would work together on it, and then they would publish it and implement it. Well, we are in that stage now. We are the implementers because the UN is not living up to its agreement, unfortunately.
So who is we?
We are people of the World Peace Posse.
The World Peace
Posse. All people all around the world who are coordinating the thought and energy of bringing forth the ISO 26000, just calling it the golden rule for business. That's the broad view. What is the golden rule with people? Depending on your religion, you have a context for it. It generally comes under the broad definition of treat others as you wish to be treated. In your financial accounting, treat others as you wish to be treated. Do the right thing. Be good. It's about a new way, a new attitude in corporate philosophy. That's the ISO 26000 in a nutshell. Nothing less. It's about intention. The more is the beyond that we want to do with it, with our understanding and what we know. Because let's be clear, the ISO 26000 doesn't go far enough. We know more than has been approved and compromised, and that's why intention is good. It's not about certification, it's about intention. It's like in the United States, if you're familiar with the United States law, it's called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. It was an act that made the CEO of a company responsible for the financial statements. This is a similar thing. It's making the CEO and the board take responsibility for the activity of the company. That their intention is to do good. Yes. And what we're doing, we're the spearhead organization in the world that is doing this. We're on the front lines, and we have the attention of a number of very interesting institutions already. The United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. We were flown to Qatar 6 weeks ago to address the group that is going to discuss in Doha in December the theme of the discussions in Doha. This is an amazing thing. I was flown all the way over to Qatar to talk for 10 minutes about something that I could have emailed them, but they wouldn't have heard it. And how do we know that they heard me? The only way I can tell you I know they heard me, there's 2 ways. One, after I presented my intervention on the ISO 26000, the former president of Portugal said, "Mr. Gold, we heard you, you can sit down now." So we know he heard me, because he asked me to sit down. I had made my presence well known to the committee there. Further to that, I met with the executive director of the United Nations Alliance of Civilization, a fellow by the name of Mark Scheuter. Mark and I had a private hour-and-a-half conversation about the work that I'm doing with the ISO 26000 and how important it is, especially in view of the Truro Wampum Treaty, because he's he should, at the United Nations Alliance of Civilization, know about the Turo Wampum Treaty and how it governs Turtle Island. So this was something that I brought to his attention. Whether or not he heard me, I do not know. I know from a conversation just in this last 4 days that they haven't made a decision on the information that they learned in the first week of May in Qatar. I do not know if they heard me yet. I know that he heard me. I do not know if it's going to go into the agenda of the Doha conference. So this is some of our challenges right now, is to make the people aware around the world that we are pushing the envelope with the ISO 26000. We're pushing them.
And you are the chief of Yorkville.
I used to be called, the sheriff of Yorkville. That was my nom de plume when our activity was under the umbrella of Honorary Sheriffs International. And our philosophy was basically any idea can be looked at in two different ways, either positive or negative. And we suggested that you look to the positive. You recognize that there may be a negative, but we look to the positive. And that was the philosophy of sheriffs, and it was encapsulated in a 5-pointed star and a heart in the center. That was our visual image. And we trademarked that even, and it is, it's a visual image that you may not recall seeing too much, that the two most famous visual images have been integrated, and you know the 5-pointed star, you see it all over the place, and you see the heart all over the place. But the World Peace Posse has the rights to use the 5-pointed star with the heart in the center. And so we want to share that with everybody. And I don't know if you recall seeing it when you looked at that little booklet that this was first presented in, this is How to Be a Global Citizen.
I have that, that's what you gave me.
And this was there's the 5-pointed star with the heart in the center. And this was first given out in St. Petersburg in 1993.
When you met those women?
When I met those women from
Russia
that are coming. They're
going to be here next week.
They're going to be here next week.
So now, when you first told me that story, and you said that, how funny is that? Now I understand why it really is that big of a coincidence.
Like,
it's not really a coincidence.
No, it is coincidence.
They're
just happening to be coming through Toronto on the 18th of July, and they asked me if they want to work with me, if they could work with me on some project of international dimensions. And what I want to work with them on is the Dialogue Cafe notion. The Dialogue Cafe is a high-level, Cisco-funded, technology-related cafe-style thing.
You mentioned that the first day we met as well.
Yeah. So we see developing that. Do you want to end this transmission here? Are we good?
Yeah, no, we're